And he's telling us that the unseen God, from that God, all things were created. And if you want to be one with that God, you have to look inside. And this is the reason God chose to dwell inside man. Beautiful and warm welcome to all our family members, Trinity International members around the world. Those of you who are watching us for the first time, a very warm welcome to you as well. I pray that it is God who connected you to be with us this morning. Please enjoy with us soul food, food which will allow you to traverse this world that we live in and overcome it in the end. Now, as we go into this morning's Sunday morning service, I ask you to deeply understand the concept that I'm going to share with you this morning. It is simple, but you'll need to dig deep within yourself to understand it. The answer to life's problems are going to follow in this next hour or so that I'm going to speak to you. Before I continue, I want to thank those of you who make it their duty and commitment to God to bless us with your tithe and your offerings. And because He is your resource, you honor Him. And because of that, we are able to reach and touch those who are connected and are connecting to God. Bless you for all that you do for His kingdom. I never forget to keep you in my prayer. Let's get straight to it. Now, before we continue, I want to emphasize the things in this world and this life that you need to cherish, and the futility of chasing things is exposed in this short clip I'm about to play for you. Watch this.
In 100 years, in 2124, we will all be buried with our relatives and friends. Strangers will live in our homes which we fought so hard to build, and they will own everything we have today, including that car you spent a fortune on. Our descendants will hardly know who we were. How many of us know our grandfather's father? After our death, we will be remembered for a few years. And a few years later, our history, our photos, our deeds go into the dustbin of oblivion. We won't even be memories. Maybe if one day we stopped to analyze these questions, we would understand how ignorant and weak the dream of obtaining everything was, always having more and more without having time for the things that are really worthwhile in this life. I'd change all that to live and enjoy those walks I've never taken, those ungiven hugs and kisses to our children and our loves. That is what life is all about.
This simple clip may want you to, or encourage you to re-evaluate the things which you prioritize in your life. Then I'm going to start, because we'll put it all together in the end, but I want to show you how evil the world is becoming, has been and is becoming. So let's start with this clip. about how our children are being targeted. Let's watch.
Did you know that they add metal shards to baby food? As you can see in this video, this woman rubs a magnet on top of her baby's oatmeal, and as you can see, there are tons of little shards of metal inside of the oatmeal. And so you know how to give this a try and see if this is actually real. So I grabbed myself some of that Gerber oatmeal, the same brand as well, and I'm gonna put it inside of this Ziploc bag. I'm gonna open it up, and I don't know if this is actually gonna work, but if it is, can somebody please explain to me why there's shards of metal inside of the baby food? But anyways, let's go ahead and put it inside of this bag, fill it up to the top, and I am also gonna get the world's strongest magnet. I have the neodymium world's strongest magnet. It already has some residue on it because I've used it before. But anyways, I'm gonna rub it on top of the oatmeal. I did it in like a shadowy part. I was already feeling some resistance, so I put it to the sun so I could see better with the camera. And I'm here rubbing it on top as well. As you can see, the bag kind of like moves. You can kind of see the shards starting to pick up, and the bag is levitating when I rub it. And look at that, yo! There's a ton of little shards of metal. Can somebody in the comments let me know what is going on? I don't know if this is even healthy. Let me know down below.
Now, many people might think, well, you know, this is just made up stuff. But wait, there is an article, many articles in fact, we'll just refer to one. It's about the lawsuit information. Gerber baby food found to contain high levels of toxic metals. So this has gone to court now. Heavy metals like lead, arsenic, mercury and cadmium are toxic to the human body. Many of them, such as lead and mercury, have been linked explicitly to neurological problems in young children and developing brains. Now Gerber is a Nestle product, and there are many shareholders, but the main shareholders of Nestle are none other than the Ashkenazi Edomites, Vanguard Group, and BlackRock, also BlackRock Advisors in the UK. So you know, this is not conspiracy anymore. We can see a plan that is not coming to pass, but is in place at the moment. Now, there is also a secret document aligned with the protocols of the elders of Zion, the Edomites we speak about constantly. It is said to have been written by none other than the man who started the pharmaceutical industry, the man who was influential in the education system. His name is J.D. Rockefeller. This document is officially called the Secret Covenant. In the following video that I'm about to play, a man reads from the actual document itself, which I have downloaded it, I have access to it, but it becomes more dramatic if you watch this little clip. And this document has been leaked. I'll play a small portion of the reading of this letter in the following clip. Watch.
The Secret Covenant. An illusion will be created so vast, so large that it escapes their perception. Those who see it will be thought of as insane. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the Absolute. We will work together always, and we will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespans short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. For all this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. They will see our products being used in films, and will grow accustomed to them, and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them that it's for their health. We will start early on, when their minds are young. We will target their children with what children love most, sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their minds and steal their future. When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicines that will make them sicker and cause other diseases for which we will create yet more medicine. We will render them docile and weak, so they succumb to us and our power. They will grow depressed, slow and obese. And when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. We will focus their attention towards money and material goods, so that they may never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication, external pleasures, and games, so that they may never be one with the oneness of all. Their minds will belong to us, and they will do as we say. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind-altering technology into their lives.
So, soft metal in baby food and many other foods, by the way, medicinal poisons, witchcraft, pharmacia, chemicals in the air, and mind manipulating frequencies from what we know today as 5G. Now, a certain lady, I'm going to relay the story so when she speaks on this clip that we're going to play, you'll better understand the perspective and the context within which she's speaking. Now, her name is Kristen Megan. She is known as a whistleblower that used to be working in the United States Air Force. She has been ultimately kicked out of the Air Force, but she was employed by an outside monitoring agency to become an officer within the Air Force, and she was posted at an Air Force base. Her job was to monitor the activities of the Air Force, especially the environmental impact of what they do. And so when she was studying what they do in the air, she found out that there were poisons that they were using. And as soon as she started to question that, she was moved out of that base to another Air Force base. And at that base, she found the same thing. And she asked the questions. Her commanding officer looked her straight in the eye and threatened her that, listen, you sound crazy. Remember that secret document that was read to you just now says the people will be called crazy. And so this man told her, you are crazy, and we are going to now be forced to lock you up in a psychiatric facility for 4 months, 120 days. It is a compulsory time period. Then we can evaluate your condition. But while you're locked up, who's going to take care of your child? So that was an indirect threat to her. So much so that eventually she was forced to be pushed out of the Air Force. So let us hear her speak these words for herself.
So what bioenvironmental engineering is in the Air Force is equivalent to that of the OSHA and the EPA, if you're familiar with that. So we were an embedded liaison to make sure that we were tracking all of the aspects and impacts of the military, meaning what is the military doing and how is it impacting the environment, because we were accountable for that. One day I was going through that computer system, which if you want to look it up, it's called an Air Force Form 3952. It is the approval of hazardous materials. I was finding tons and tons of large quantities of aluminum, barium, strontium in the forms of oxides and sulfates. So I started asking questions, and at that point my demonization began. You know, I made my rank. I was decorated. I was a non-commissioned officer of the quarter. I won lots of awards. I had no reason for anyone to attempt to demonize me. So then I get moved over to the other Air Logistics Center. There's only 2 in the Air Force, which is in Warner Robins, Georgia. This kind of carried with me, and I thought, you know what? Should I revisit this? Is it worth it? Did I hit something? Maybe it's need to know. I started finding the same things at Robins Air Force Base. I was now doing some more investigation work. Part of what I did was to use a high volume air sampler to air sample up to, I'd say, a football field in about 10 minutes. I also conducted soil sampling because I thought, you know, if this is real and they are spraying this, it's going to get to the ground. So I conducted air sampling, I conducted soil sampling, and I was getting high levels of these contaminants. When I started asking the question again under a new commander, I never in my life thought I would have somebody look me in the face and tell me, I am questioning you. Is there something wrong with you? You've been looking really depressed lately. You know I can put you under a mental evaluation for up to 120 days. Who would take care of your daughter? Because I was divorced at the time. As soon as I heard that, I knew. It validated everything I ever thought. And I thought, I've spent 9 years of my life trying to protect human health, and here we are violating law after law after law. Just sitting here, instead of protecting the people, we are poisoning the people. So I just want everyone to know and understand that of all things, of all the freedoms that we are losing, geoengineering is the #1 issue that we are facing. Because you can have guns and money and you can have everything. If you don't have food and water and you are dying of respiratory or neurological illnesses.
Now, there is an official document that must be filled in by the military or the Air Force. And that document she refers to in that video is called Form 3952. If you look at the governmental website, it makes this form available for scrutinization. The heading of that article says that the 3952 Chemical Hazardous Material Request Authorization Form. So if these departments want to use hazardous chemicals, they have to have an authorization for it, fill in the form, and they will be free to use it. You'll see in the mediadefense.gov website a similar thing, Safety, Health and Environmental Standard, titled Hazardous Material Management. And the last form that was filled in, you look at the date, it's the 11th of September 2021. Now you look at the releasability, there are no releasability restrictions on this publication. The provisions and requirements of this standard are mandatory for use by all base operating contractor personnel engaged in work tasks necessary to fill the Air Force Base mission. Please contact your safety, industrial health and environmental representative for clarification or questions regarding this standard. Now the US military wing has been granted a patent in 1997 to use sound frequency. There's a patent for it granted to the US military. Sound frequency waves and electromagnetic fields to manipulate human behavior. This is fact. This is not conspiracy. But why would they do such a thing? Let's watch. Now, I just wanted to show you the patent. It's US 6017302A, Subliminal Acoustic Manipulation of Nervous Systems. And it was granted, and there's an inventor's name there. Now, this is going across the world, not just in the United States. This technology is being used to do what? To manipulate human behavior, and there's a patent for it. Now, you'll find that the weaker signals are being gotten rid of by many governments. In South Africa, where we live, the government has already instituted plans to eradicate the lower frequencies of 2 and 3G. Let's read this article. It was September 2022 that the South African government unveiled a roadmap to shut down the 2G and 3G networks. in the first half of 2024 and March 2025 respectively. The initiative aimed to free up frequencies for the extension of the networks 4 and 5. Now, that little clip that we saw, or we're going to see, tells us that we have a receiver inside our very pockets. Besides the manipulation that's coming from everywhere else, that little gadget has the potential for acoustic manipulation. Let's watch Facebook for a moment.
Don't keep the phone in your pocket or you will exceed the as-tested exposure guidelines. Now, how many of you knew that before today? Because they actually are now giving people this information. Telstra is telling you to use a hands-free device to keep a mobile phone away from the head and body. Because mobile phones and Wi-Fi devices emit pulsed microwave radiation. 900 times a minute, it's looking for a signal. It says to the tower, where are you? Here I am. Where are you? Here I am. It's smart. That's how it's supposed to do. Now, when the phone rings, the worst time for you to put a phone right next to your head is when you answer it and say hello. Because it's smart and it goes to max power and bone marrow. And look here at the radiation as it gets into the groin area. And that's just from having a mobile phone modeled into the pocket. The United States magazine Consumer Reports recently recommended that nobody keep a phone in their pocket. Nobody. And in fact, if phones were tested in pockets, they would exceed the as-tested exposure guidelines, which is why Telstra has recently issued that advice.
Then our food, agricultural lands, natural animals is being taken away piece by piece. Some are becoming hybridized, some synthetic. Now, the world is traveling at an exponential rate towards the extinction of all natural things, substituted by man-made, if I could use the term, demonic world. Now let's watch this little piece.
Soon, the entire world will start eating meat printed by a printer, and we won't even be able to tell if it's real meat or not. This isn't a plot from Black Mirror, it's our reality unfolding. Here's why printed meat resembles real meat so closely. The 3D printers use special bio-inks to create it. These bio-inks are actually made from stem cells extracted from different animals depending on the desired type of meat: beef, pork, poultry, or even fish. In a laboratory, these cells then multiply, interact, and differentiate into the fat and muscle cells that make up bio-ink. These bio-inks are then intricately layered by specialized 3D printers to construct meat products that closely mimic the texture, taste, and nutritional composition of traditional meats. This is identical to real beef, and when it is ready and served, even the smell is the same. Scientists claim that by using this technology, the environmental impact associated with conventional livestock farming will be greatly reduced. So would you eat printed meat?
So it's not the future, it's now. Now, many, when we spoke about altering of genetics in the human body a while ago, many, especially Christian people, had no idea, or even if they heard it, they didn't believe it. But let me just share with you something about anything that is modified. The genetic biology of things you eat if it's modified, plants, weed, grain, corn, animals, your chicken, your whatever, if it's been altered, it means that the cellular structures of the biological cellular structures of the animal or the thing, of the crop, has been changed. Which means that the proteins and carbs that make up this thing that we're eating has also been changed. And there's new, novel structures. So in a normal being, carbohydrates have a certain structure. Protein have a certain structure. In an altered being, those structures are now changed. And when you put it in your body, you do not have enzymes to break those carbs and those proteins down into smaller portions. Because your enzymes are designed by God to break down natural things. But when it gets into your system, you struggle to break them down, and therefore you start to get things like autoimmune sicknesses. And that, because it doesn't break down in your system, it stays in your system, in your gut, very important part of your body, and it rots there. And if it rots there, it produces all sorts of poisonous toxins that come out. How can this be good for a human being? Now there are many. I'll just share with you some that are on the market. Everything is becoming that modified. Cornflakes, oatmeal, granola oil, corn, crackers, tortilla chips, frozen pizzas, anything that's frozen, it means it has to have preservatives, and those things have been altered or created synthetically. Other frozen meals, ground beef, chicken nuggets, sausages, milk, cheese, yogurt, and bread. Now the two main manufacturers of these things are Monsanto and Bayer. Bayer has actually bought over Monsanto. So this onslaught from every aspect of life is coming at the human being at a rate that cannot be contained. And by the way, the shareholders, main shareholders of Bayer and Monsanto are BlackRock and Vanguard, by the way. You know, even our daily bread, give us our daily bread, Lord. It's been changed. And therefore you find sicknesses are going to start to increase. Besides the poison that was put in people's arms, this development that is taking place and active with electromagnetic waves, with poisonous, undigestible substances, all sorts of things that are happening will cause people to pass away seemingly unnoticed. Now in the last month, I've been monitoring that young people are just falling and passing away. Young people under the age of 30. And it's not becoming mainstream. It's not taking precedence. And you'll find that because of these toxins that are within the human body, they start to create new diseases that are going to come about in humanity. Diseases that have never been seen before. And we are on the brink of such an explosion. So what are we to do? Especially God's children I'm speaking to now. What are we to do under these circumstances that seem that we cannot have control over? What is our expectancy? And I'm going to start by this little episode that took place in the Garden of Gethsemane involving Peter. We're going to take our reading from the book of Matthew. From the time Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed. Underline that on your TV. I mean, no, don't do that, in your mind. And be killed. He told this to his disciples. One of them would have been Peter. So Peter heard Jesus tell them that he has to be arrested. The people who lead that arrest will be the elders and the chief priests. He will be killed and be raised the third day. That's the last few words there. So Peter and everybody else, they knew Jesus just prophesied something. But after Jesus prophesied it, it's almost as if Peter couldn't hear the prophecy, didn't understand the prophecy. In verse 22, Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Far be it from you, Lord, that this shall not happen to you. But he turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me. For you are not mindful of the things that are unseen, things of God, things from this unified realm. You cannot identify with it. You're seeing things from the mind, from your mind, Peter. You are not mindful of the things of God, but the things of men. Now, if we were honest, if we were Peter, it would be hard for us to expect or accept that Jesus is going to be handed over and killed. And if we were there, there's chances that we probably would have acted in the same way. We wouldn't want anything to happen to Jesus. And Peter was human. And he thought like a human, like any man probably would think. Any man who loved Jesus the way Peter loved him. To the mind of man, of Peter, it seemed as if evil was winning and the good Jesus was losing. That's how it seemed. Now, between you and I, at that moment, when things go wrong and not according to how we feel that should go right, we fail in that moment, we fail. You know, when we're going through trauma and pain and a hardship and struggles, we fail to see beyond what our eyes can see, to think beyond what is in front of us. We fail to see the will and plan of the unseen God. All we can see is what's before us in that very moment. So Peter was thinking with that human mind. But the mind is limited to see what is just in front of them. Now, I'm going to play you a clip. Now, if I could do it better, I would have done it myself. But there's an illustration that a scientist speaks about. And I want you to pay very careful attention to this demonstration that he's going to explain. And if you get it, oh my goodness, if you get it, it's going to be the changing point of your life. The point of no return. The point, it's going to be a defining moment for you. So I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to this little clip that I'm going to play. Watch.
This here represents the surface of life. Surface. And we see surfaces, you know, surfaces. And about 300 years ago, scientists, they started wondering what was this wood and what was this metal and what was it really? So they start looking into matter. So this side is matter, and this side is mind. Mind and matter. And the scientists, well, they discovered molecules. Deeper they went, and they discovered these atoms. And like I say, they thought that was the smallest particle for a long time. All these things we learn about in school. They went deeper, and they find inside the atoms these little electrons and neutrons and protons. And they went deeper and deeper and deeper, smaller and smaller particles, smaller and smaller particles. They found 4 forces. On a deeper level, the 4 became 3. And on a deeper level, the 3 became 2. And then, about 30 years ago, modern science, quantum physics, discovered the unified field. The unity of all the particles and all the forces of matter, of creation. Not only did they discover the unified field, but they found that everything that is a thing emerges from this field of no thing. Unmanifest it is. Unmanifest. It is no hyphen thing, but all things come from it. Anything that is a thing has emerged from this field of unity. It's oneness. The scientists know this exists, but if they wanted to get there, you can't get there. It's unmanifest. You can't walk into this field. But any one of those scientists could practice a technique, transcendental meditation, which, remember, true happiness is not out there. You're given a mantra, a very specific sound, vibration, thought. Very specific. It needs to be life-supporting at all deeper levels. And that mantra that you're given gives the key that opens the door. The mantra turns the mind within, turns the awareness within, and you naturally dive. Why is it natural? Because each deeper level of mind and each deeper level of intellect has more happiness. And the deeper levels of mind and deeper levels of intellect correspond to deeper levels of matter. At the borderline of intellect, you transcend. Transcend is the key word. It means to go beyond. You're going beyond field of relativity, duality, experiencing oneness. Pure, unbounded, infinite consciousness. This consciousness has qualities: infinite creativity, intelligence, energy, love, power, and bliss. Dynamic peace. Always been there, never had a beginning, it is and it will be forever. Unbounded, infinite, eternal, immutable, immortal consciousness, fullness. Any human being can experience this easily and effortlessly with transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation is just a vehicle to get you here. When you experience this level, you enliven it, and it grows in the individual. All positive, light of unity, all positive. You experience this level, and you enliven it, and this ball of consciousness that you thought was just going to stay the same for the rest of your life starts expanding, and these qualities expand.
So, listen, to reach that unified field, what the science calls unified field, what we call the realm of God, is made of no thing. It's made of nothing. From nothing, from nothing, came all things. The mantra that this man speaks about is more to do with frequency. And I've taught you extensively about frequency, about even the color purple. I've taught you about that violet and purple. I've taught you about the frequency of God. I spoke to you about all these things. It's about the vibration. And that vibration takes you to look within. Now, the Bible, once you're within, that is where peace lives. That is where contentment lives. That is where love lives. So as I take you forward, it's going to become more clear to you how these things will apply to you. Now Jesus already spoke these things in the hearts of the early apostles. One of them who didn't even walk with him was Paul, and he wrote in Hebrews this: by faith we understand that the worlds, the material worlds, the matter, was framed by frequency, the word of God, the wisdom of God, so that the things which are seen, the matter, was not made of things which are seen, which are visible. Here he speaks of the unified field. He's speaking about science. And he's telling us that the unseen God, who is the unified field, from that God, all things were created. And if you want to be one with that God, you have to look inside. And this is the reason God chose to dwell inside man. Because if you're looking for answers to life, it cannot be outside. It has to be reflected inside. So the people around you are not the answer to your problems, the ones that you see. Circumstances that are causing you trouble, changing those circumstances have nothing to do with matter. It has to do with inside. If you want to see the change on the outside of you, in the world of matter, something you have to reach for is on the inside of you, and that would be peace. And I've been trying to get you there. And once you reflect on this peace, when you achieve it, you will start to see the results come out in the physical world. Romans chapter 4:17 expands on this. As it is written, I have made you a father of many nations, in the presence of him who he believed, God, who gives life to the dead, and calls those things which do not exist, which are not seen, which are not matter, as though they did exist. Now Jesus demonstrated this from the unseen unified frequency or realm, from that field where God lives. You can, if you reach that unified field, if you reach that place of peace, you are able to bring things into being that are not even actually there. And Jesus demonstrated this, that he put coins in a fish's mouth, that he told his servants, go and fish and take the fish out and coins will be inside. He manifested matter from nothing. He went to the wedding in Cana, and his mother told him there's no more wine left. And you know, he was fighting a little bit with his mother, it's not my time and so forth. But when they poured water, out came wine from nothing. I hope you're getting this. Lazarus was embalmed. In other words, they took out his entrails, his heart, his liver, his everything, and they stuffed it with balming stuff. And he was dead 4 days. And when Jesus came, he not only brought the dead alive, the spirit of that man, but he created stuff from nothing. Where did he get it from? From the unified field. Who is that? God. So the answer to the issues of your life is not by changing your job, by changing people around you to make you happy. Your peace has nothing to do with people creating that peace for you. It has to do with you creating your own peace despite the clouds of storm around you, despite the people who have no peace around you. So, if you're going to take this a step further, it has nothing to do with creating a physical environment of peace for you to have peace. Not getting rid of people around you to get your peace. Your peace comes from within, from the unified field. Now let's continue with our story of Peter. John chapter 18. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went out with his disciples over the brook Kidron. Kidron Valley is still there in Israel, where there was a garden, and which he and his disciples entered. Now they used to go to this garden near the Mount of Olives quite often. And Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, for Jesus often met there with his disciples. Then Judas, having received a detachment of troops and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees. See, this was prophecy. The chief priests and the Pharisees are going to lead my arrest. Came there with lanterns, torches, and weapons. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, "Whom are you seeking?" Now you see, the reason Jesus knew all these things is because he came from the unified field. That's where all the answers are. That's where prophecies are. That's why when you meditate in God, when you pray, you see, God is not in the church. That's why during lockdown people struggled. They just wanted to get there. They wanted outside influence to change their inside. You see, God is on the inside, and this is what I need you to get used to. This is what I train my disciples for. God is on the inside of every human being that calls on him as their Father. And when he is inside, when you look within for answers, for direction, the unified field, God gives you prophecy, can show you in advance what is about to transpire. And this is how Jesus always knew ahead of time what to do, what was going to happen. So Jesus asked them, "Whom are you seeking?" And they answered, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am he." And Judas, who betrayed him, also stood with them. Now when he had said to them, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. Oh my God. Some of them actually worshipped Jesus, but they were following orders. Then he asked them again, "Whom are you seeking?" And they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus answered, "I told you that I am he. Therefore, if you seek me, let these go their way." Set my disciples free, they have got nothing to do with it. That the saying might be fulfilled, which he spoke, "Of those whom you gave me, I have lost one." Speaking of Judas. Then Simon Peter, now here comes the rest of the world type Peter. We are all Peter. I am not excluded. We are all Peter. And we need to change from Peter. Now Peter came having a sword, drew it, and struck the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. That servant's name was Malchus. He chopped the servants of the high priest, he chopped his ear off, man. And Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword to your sheath. Shall I not drink the cup which my Father has given me?" Now, why is Jesus telling Peter this? He says, Peter, the prophecy says, I'm going to be led like a lamb to the slaughter. When you take a goat to slaughter, that goat will jump and kick and punch you and gnaw you with his horns. He is reluctant to go. He'll fight back. The prophecy in Isaiah says, Jesus will be led like a lamb to the slaughter. There'll be no resistance. Now, I want you to see the importance of this prophecy. If Peter resisted, that prophecy will be nullified. In other words, Jesus would not have been the acceptable sacrifice, and Christianity and Christ in our lives would not be possible. That is how significant that moment was. So Jesus had to quickly do something about it. Let's read, if you don't believe me, Isaiah 53:7. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent. So he opened not his mouth. So there has to be no resistance. So Jesus thought quickly. He touched Malchus's right ear that was chopped off. And from nothing, from the unified field, from the source of all things, which is God, he brought back his ear into place, and he was healed. And the prophecy remained fulfilled. Even when they questioned Jesus, he remained silent. Scripture tells you this. Now, Matthew 26 sets us up for this. But Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword in its place. For all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Or do you think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he will provide me with more than 12 legions of angels? How then could the scriptures be fulfilled, that it must happen thus?" Firstly, this is a powerful statement. From that unified field, from that source of all things, I could create for myself in this world, bring from nothing to something, 12 legions of angels to come and help me. But the will of my Father, the plan he has laid out, must be fulfilled, for he knows all things. Shall I not drink the cup that my Father has prepared for me? If I resist this cup, salvation will not come. I see the full picture. Peter, you don't. This is the commission God gave for every child of God. And some of you may not like to hear this. But if you want the truth, open your ears. You must carry the cross, no matter how heavy that cross is. Because it is something God has planned. And nothing happens outside of that plan. Shall you not drink the cup, no matter what cup it is you're drinking, that the Father has prepared for you? For if you look on the inside, you're only seeing with the eyes in the world of matter. You're not reflecting inwards. If you reflect inwards, anything that's going on, you will be at peace about, no matter what you lack, no matter how much pain you're going through, no matter how financially you're broken, you will be at peace, because peace has nothing to do with how much money you have. Peace is from within. Jesus says, in this world, this is his words. Listen, in this world you will have trouble. He also said, you must carry your cross and follow me. Those two things tell us what? What does it tell us? It tells us that we must be prepared to carry whatever cup and drink whatever cup, carry whatever cross and drink whatever cup our Father has prepared. But if we look with the eyes, there is no way we will be able to carry it. If we look with the eyes, we'll do what Peter did. We'll resist. We'll fight against God. We'll fight against God's plan. No, you just be at rest. Lord, I am at rest. And this is the example he was talking about Solomon. In all his splendor, he was not dressed like one of the flowers in the field. They don't stress. They don't fight. They don't have prayer meetings. They got no intercession. There's no meditation. They just at peace and at rest, and they content. If they die, they die. And God dresses them. And the same with the birds. Do you not think that from your situation, where you in, that God from that unified field can rescue you? Do you not think it's possible? But if you are doing everything that I'm asking you to do, if you are fulfilling that contentment and peace, if you are just content and just at peace and just live for the moment, just enjoy. Don't worry about tomorrow, let it take care of itself. If you just enjoy the people around you, whatever He has provided, if you just concentrate on that, don't you think if it's God's plan, He will create an opening, create a way for you? From nothing, He'll create something. Listen, that's why there's no 10-step plan, 7-step plan and 5-step plan for healing, 5-step plan for your wealth, 5-step plan for this. This is why the answers are not in a church, not in a crusade, not anywhere. The answers are within. You need a shepherd to direct you within. And when you are prepared to not be lazy, but look within, pray, get food from Him, everything, meditate on God. You got to find time to do that because all your answers lie within. If you got no time for that to reflect inwards, then your outward world is going to reflect your condition of your mind. I hope you're getting that. It's profound. You see, we do not want God's plan, we want our plan. We want what our eyes can see as our plan, and we want that plan to come to pass. We think our bosses at work supply our money. They don't. It comes from the unified field. Your finances come from it comes from nothing. So, even though the boss dispenses it, he doesn't hold the key to the money that you get paid. The keys lie in the unified field. The source of all things supplies that. So your provision has nothing to do with the people. They can't bring answers to you. They got no power over the answers to you. The power of the answers comes from within you. And when you reach that, you connect with God, and God creates the answers for you. And if it's His will for you to carry the cup or drink the cup, then you drink the cup. You'll know when to be obedient. The main thing is throughout all, just be content and have peace. Can you do that? And that will be the miracle of miracles. Unless you look within, you will never be able to see the unified field or the plan of God. You have to know this. Now in Matthew 26, Peter sat outside in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him saying, "You also were with Jesus." But he denied it before them all, saying, "I do not know what you are saying." And when they had gone out into the gateway, another girl saw him and said to those who were there, "This fellow also was with Jesus of Nazareth." But again he denied with an oath, "I do not know the man." And a little later, those who stood by came up and said to Peter, "Surely you are one of them. You are one of them, for your speech betrays you." Then he began to curse and swear and saying, "I do not know the man." Immediately the rooster crowed, and Peter remembered the word of Jesus, who had said to him, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." So he went out and wept bitterly. You see, the best time for you to lose faith is when you are going through an emotional pain, when you're going through some financial troubles. It is the most appropriate time, for the devil wants you to look at the physical world around you. But that's the time God wants you to seek Him out from within. That's the time you pray. When Jesus was about to go and be handed over, He went to pray, and that's when He shouted at them. They can't even stay awake with Him. What was He doing? He was searching within. He was looking to that realm, the unified realm, for God's will and God's purpose, and for strength from within to go through what the physical matter world was going to do to him. There's a Peter, beloved, in all of us at certain times. When we are that Peter, when we think with the mind, we can't see the plan of God. We can't see that unified field. We begin to do what we want, what is good for the eye, what is good for the natural body, but we never see what's good in God. For God has a plan, what good God has planned for us. He can send angels to remove this from you at any time. He is the answer to your job, to the increase in your salary, to the healing of your body. You see, not that much is wrong with what I'm going to say that you do, but we put our faith. You see, the mind is trained to put their dependence on the physical thing, like a tablet when they're sick. On something done to them physically. They must put a tablet in their mouth, poke something in their arm for them to get better. When the real source of everything, including healing and the repairing of the marriage and the repairing of the internal family relationship and dynamics, when the relationship between them and their finances to improve, it all lies not in the hands of the physical realm. It lies from much deeper. And it can be activated through obedience. What does the obedience mean? Have peace. God says, be content with whatever you have, in wherever you live, through whatever circumstance. And once you have that peace, God starts to manifest things into being which were never there in the first place. So your answer is not from your uncle, not from a psychiatrist, not from your doctor, not from anybody, not from your pastor. Your answer is from God. And where is He? Within. Matthew 16 tells us, if anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take his cross and follow me. So in this world, the scripture also says you're going to have trouble. Now that's prophecy. If you go against prophecy and you want not to have trouble, that's against prophecy. You cannot see God's point of view. You're seeing with your eye. So just be content. Lord, I've been through so much. But Father, if it's your will, I'll walk with my cross and I'll drink the cup you've prepared for me and I'll be at peace about it. Do you know those 3 Hebrew boys in the book of Daniel? They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, we will not bow to your idols and statues. And remember, they were threatened to be burnt at the stake inside that oven that heated up 7 times. And they said, King, from the unified field, Our God can rescue us. But even if He chooses not to rescue us, so be it. We will still not bow. Because He is still God. And now, when they threw these 3 Hebrew boys in, Jesus showed up. From where? From the unified. When they came out, you can't even smell smoke on them. They were not burnt. But the soldiers who were putting them in, the fire was so hot it burned them. Where did this help come from? It seems impossible to the natural mind. The natural mind will be shocked. Those who live in that realm that I'm talking about, spiritually, they expect it, that God will solve their problems. And so, when you look at what the elites are doing around the world, this evil cabal, to the air, to the products you're using on your skin, to the products you're taking in your stomach for medicine, to the food that you're eating, they design their world to hurt, especially the children of God, to manipulate their minds, so that they remove the presence of God, the concept of God. They want to remove your connection with that unified field, with God. That's why they attempted to change the DNA. They wanted to change that molecular structure which will change your spirit, which will give you no access to that world. That's what they were designing to do. And they're continuing with this onslaught from every angle which they own. Their interests are everywhere. And they'll convince you with the media. And they'll hide the truth. It's a continuum of darkness. So where do you hide? Where does your answer and your protection come from? The unified field. God. Look within, and nothing will harm you. Not what you eat, not what you drink, not what you wear, not what you apply. Nothing will affect you. You will drink deadly poison, and it will not touch you. My goodness. So, the answer to all these things are, you just relax. I'm at peace. I'm not panicking, Lord. What is designed to harm me, you from that world in which you live, the all-powerful realm, I'll just walk this walk, I'll live this life, I'll be content with what I have, and you be my protector. In all your ways, don't look with the eye. The world of matter is an illusion. Everything came from nothing. So I'm going to pray with you. And if you've been struggling, I want you to start praying, connecting with God personally. Your wife's prayer is not you connecting with God. Children, listen to me. Your dad in church, as a preacher, as an elder, as a deacon, is not your connection to God. Your mother's prayer is not your connection. And mothers, listen to me. You cannot connect your children to God by you. They have to connect to God. That's why I share with people, they need to connect with with me. I am a shepherd. I direct you where to go. So just praying for them, we're asking God to intervene, of course. But if they're going to have a transformation, if they're going to have a transcendental experience into that realm for themselves, they need a personal relationship. Your personal relationship is not inside the church. Your personal relationship is from within. Those of you who have a relationship with God just by going to a building, you are in big trouble. Your relationship must be talking to Him when nobody sees. Make sure that you have a connection every day with Him. And let Him numb the things of this world. Let them become dim, as Paul told us, so that we can start to see clearly the plan of God. So in your circumstance, beloved, God can take you out at any time. Just say, Lord, I don't have bread here today. I don't have this money to pay that bill today. But I look on the inside and you tell me, have peace. And I will have that peace. Help me, Father. And you find that God, hey, listen, God never lets you down. But it must come from deep within. This is not a game. This is not a recipe. This is not a tactic. This is a genuine earnestness that you need to do it with. First, belong to Him. Say, Lord Jesus, I want you to be my God. From where all my help comes from. And live inside of me. Be my God, and I'll be your child. When you do that, start having a relationship daily. Reading the Bible is not a relationship. Even the King James Bible. By the way, I told you, King James, the man that orchestrated this Bible, was a Freemason. The person who owns the rights to the King James Bible is King Charles from England. The British monarch, King Charles. He owns the right to the king. So the answer is not in reading. The answer is in meditation and prayer. Jesus was not reading anything in the garden. Answer is from within. So can I encourage you to do that? From this moment on, change. It's going to be the changing moment. Let us pray with you. Heavenly Father, I thank you for your children, for the ears to listen and the desire to follow. And as they dig into you, Lord, as they reach further and further in the depths of the unknown of their spirit, they will find that peace. And as they do it consistently, Father, they will become masters and experts in dealing with this world and its environment by not being bothered and interfered with. Cover them and protect them all, my God, till you come. In Jesus' name. Everyone said, Amen. God bless you. I hope you enjoyed this morning. Please share this message with as many friends as humanly possible. God bless you. See you next week.